I grew up hearing that when you rented, you were throwing away money. I think that's the complete opposite, actually. And if my kids were at the age where they were about to go out onto their own, I would tell them to absolutely rent. My name is Shannon. I became a multimillionaire by paying off my debt, investing, all while working a 9-to-5 job. See, when you buy a house, you have the mortgage. You have the principal that you pay on the mortgage, the interest, the taxes, and the insurance. And that is just the floor. That is just the beginning of what you have to pay on a house. So if you own a home and it's gobbling up 40-50% of your take-home pay, that is far too much. No wonder you feel pressure. No wonder you feel like it's so tight. No wonder you're going into debt. And of course, those are just the expenses that you know of right now. You can't anticipate what's going to happen with your housing, if the water heater is going to break, if you're going to have to do something with the landscaping, if you're going to have to fix a fence, if you're going to have to do something with the roof. Anything can happen in the course of a year. Whereas with renting, that's it. What you signed is all it's going to be for the year. And you can actually plan what you're going to do with any additional funds that you have and start investing outside of real estate or even in real estate if you want. But you're not going to have to worry about the additional expenses that are going to be incurred with your living conditions. So no. Renting isn't throwing money away. It isn't that you're solely paying somebody else's mortgage. Renting is actually the ceiling. Buying a home and a mortgage is actually the floor. And once you figure out how you can rent, keep more of your money in your pocket so that you can turn around and invest it, you're already going to be winning financially.
It's a complete scam and a trap for many low-income families and households who are currently renting. As we know, with renting, you pretty much are just throwing money away versus someone who has a house and a mortgage where you're actually going to be building equity, and at the end of a few decades down the line, you're going to have a paid off house, and that's going to be one less expense you don't have to worry about. Now, a lot of people want to keep others renting forever. They're renting out rooms in their own houses for over $1,000 a month for a bedroom, which is kind of crazy, and they just want people to continue renting, never getting out of this trap, never going to be able to own a home. It's absolutely crazy. And a lot of these people who are low income don't have the ability to move to a cheaper apartment or even a house because those transportation fees are going to be quite costly as well, because it costs between $1,000 to $3,000 just to move all your stuff. Moving fees are very costly, and you also have to put down usually like 3 months for your deposit. So take a look at the rest of these clips.
Something needs to be done about these landlords, because tell me why, on top of the $1,650 worth of rent on average for a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, less than 1,000 square foot apartment in Central Florida, that you are going to charge me $25 a month for valet trash service, $25 a month for pest control, $25 a month for Wi-Fi access at the clubhouse, and then to apply a $300 administrative fee, $75 per adult 18 and older to apply, so me and my husband. And those fees are non-refundable and do not go towards your deposit. And then you're gonna charge me of a deposit of first month's rent equivalent, even though I have decent credit. And some of these places on top of all of that are charging first month's rent, the deposit, and then last month's rent. You're talking almost $4,000 for all of that. And you don't get to opt out of these monthly fees. You don't get to opt out of valet trash service. You don't get to opt out of the Wi-Fi. Oh, and by golly, if the fucking apartment comes with a washer and dryer, that doesn't come with the apartment, babes. No, you gotta pay a $50 a month rental fee for that. I fucking can't.
And one thing about public housing and government assistance, your house gonna be stacked with food. You're gonna be able to cook, eat all you want, get all the crab legs, have fun, hang out on the porch, turn up, do all of the things. Do all of the things, but you don't realize that stuff holds you back. It's a mindset. Everything is a mindset game. Literally, it's a mental game. And that's what the world is after, your mental. If if it has control over this, they have you. They can tell you what you're worthy of. Like, they can tell you this is all you need in your life to be complete, to be content. But in reality, when I go to the grocery store, I want to be able to buy my own groceries. I don't want to have to depend on a system to tell me I can spend $450 to fill my house up. I want to be able to afford a luxury apartment outside of the hood in a nice environment with beautiful amenities. I don't need the government to tell me to stay in a brick housing, public housing. If I don't work, I have zero rent. That's such a disservice. If I don't work for something, I still have a house, a roof over my head. That's making me lazy and complacent. So I'm on the system for years to come. This is why we have people who literally been on the system for 14 years like me. I believe if you are on the system, there's nothing wrong with it, but they should have some stipulations. No more than 5 years. Get your shit together. Because if I would have had 5 years, guess what? My shit would have been together. I tell you that. I would have stopped a long time ago from messing around. But because there was bird feeding me, allowing me to access these things so freely without doing anything, I took advantage. And a lot of us do that. So don't stay complacent, okay?
So how do we feel about renting a room in somebody else's house? Because I knew this was a thing, but I didn't know this was a big thing in my city. I'm talking big thing. You can literally go pay $700, $800 a month to go live in a room in somebody else's house. And I know sometimes it's out of necessity, but I just couldn't do it. I'd rather go live in the hood somewhere in a studio apartment for like $500 a month. I first found this out by one of my homeboys a few years ago when he told me he was living in a shared space and he's paying about $750 a month. I was like, okay, that don't sound super bad. It's like a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. He's sharing a bathroom with 2 other guys, and it's like, I don't know about sharing a bathroom with somebody I don't know. I remember specifically him being mad one day and him showing me a picture of his bathtub. Somebody left a hairball in it. I couldn't deal with somebody else's hairball, dog. I don't know. And there's some other factors, like on a lot of these shared spaces, you can't bring anybody else over. You got to share the living space with everybody else, and you got to share the kitchen with everybody else. I remember my homeboy was telling me everybody was eating out every day. That is not healthy. Nobody would take out the trash. Nobody cleaning up anything. I just couldn't deal with it. I'd rather just live in a little rinky-dink little studio by myself. But you are saving money most of the time, and sometimes it can only be temporary. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? Because realistically, rent is so high these days that some people don't have another option.
I seriously mean this. When you rent, you put yourself in a coffin. And each year, that coffin costs you more and more money. And I'm a voice for getting yourself out of that trap and getting into a different situation where you don't do that. And there are a lot of alternatives. You can live in your vehicle. You can rent a space from a friend of yours. We have a rental, and our rent to the people who rent from us is under market value. Why? We want them to be able to buy something. We don't want to entrap them. So think about it. Come up with an idea. Post it here on this video. What is your alternative?
Said it before, I'll say it again. Low-income housing is a trap. It is a trap. You cannot make this shit up. Let me tell you what happened. I am 50. My husband is 55. We have grown children. My youngest child is 20 years old. I am this close to moving out of the hood and moving into market rate rent. This close. I live in low-income housing, and my case manager knows this. But what did she ask me? She wanted to know what me and my husband thought about fostering a child. I am 50. My husband is 55. We have grown children that have moved on. We are now empty nesters. She says to me, you'll be able to get a check. And I'm looking at her like, what? I don't want a check. I want to move the hell out of here. So I say, me and my husband are not in a financial state, nor are we in a health state to take on another child.
She says, "Well, you don't want to take a baby into your home," and I'm like, a baby? No, I don't want to take a baby into my home. If I was going to be involved with the foster program, I would probably want a little older, someone in their teens maybe. Then she says, maybe you can foster a pregnant teen. That way you'll get 2 checks. I was just like, that is wild to me. Me and my husband are 50 and 55. We are ready to live our golden years together. We are ready to move out of this hood, go somewhere safe, and live out the rest of our lives while our children and grandchildren get on with their lives. And you're sitting here trying to convince me to take on more mouths to feed and stay in poverty? Get the fuck out of here.
So this month my rent went up, and obviously every year the rent goes up. We all know about the annual rent increase. However, this time is a little different because the increase was way more than it was before, and it's just frustrating because, like, where do they expect us to just get this extra money from? And it's like every year my rent is going up, but I'm not seeing any improvements to my unit. I'm not getting new appliances. I'm not getting any sort of updates in my apartment. I mean, there's a laundry room in the basement of our apartment. I don't even see that being updated. None of the common areas are updated, and I think that's what frustrates me the most, is like not even reaping any sort of benefits from these increases. And because of the increase, I decided I wasn't signing another 12-month lease because the apartment is not worth the new price I'd be paying for it. I know I could find another apartment that's way less money, but like, why? Why do these landlords feel the need to increase the rent and buy so much money? Like, the small increases are not that big of a deal, but when the increase is like hundreds of dollars more, it's insane. Like, how do they expect us to pay that? Where do they expect this extra money to come from? Like, are we just supposed to pull it out of thin air? Just make it magically appear, hundreds of extra dollars that we can put towards rent?
I honestly feel like renting is now a waste of time for everybody. Only people that should be renting are people with good jobs and children. Even if you're married and you have no kids, go get roommates. What's the point of paying these companies $2,000-$3,000 a month? That's a mortgage. And you're not even building no wealth or equity. I understand it's cool. People want you to be an adult, have your own stuff, pay your own rent, pay your own bills. But at the end of the day, if you're not bringing in $80,000 by yourself, you're only living to pay those bills and then say, I have my own stuff. Is that worth it? Is that quality of life?